Hi, in this video, we are going to see how to solve linear inequalities in one variable. Solving a linear inequality in one variable is similar to solving a linear equation in one variable. Okay, let us consider a linear equation in one variable. 2x positive y is equal to 13. Here we have a linear equation in one variable. Here the variable is x. So solving linear equation means we have to find the value of the variable. Here we have to find the value of x. To find the value of x, we have to isolate x. For that, we have to get rid of the values 5 and 2. So whenever we want to solve for a variable in an equation, we have to get rid of all the values around the variable we have in the equation. So to get rid of the values around the variable, what we need to do is we have to use the properties of equality, like addition property of equality, subtraction property of equality, multiplication property of equality, and division property of equality. So here, to get rid of this value positive y, what I need to do is I have to subtract 5 from both sides. So this is subtraction property of inequality. When I subtract 5 from both sides, this positive and negative 5 will cancel out. I just get 2x here on the left side. And when I subtract 5 from 13, I'll be getting 8. Here, 2 and x are multiplied. So to get rid of this 2, which is multiplied by x, I have to divide both sides by 2. So this 2 will cancel out. 2 goes into 2 1 times, 2 goes into 8 4 times. Finally, we have x is equal to 4. So we solve the given linear equation in one variable. That is, we got the value of x. That is, x is equal to 4. So whatever process we have done so far to solve this linear equation, the same process we have to do to solve for linear inequality. Okay, now let's consider the same linear equation as inequality. For example, let's consider 2x positive 5 less than or equal to 13. Here, I subtract 5 from both sides. Then I get 2x less than or equal to 8. Now, I have to divide both sides by 2. So 2 will cancel x less than or equal to 4. So in the previous case, we just solved the same thing with equality. It is the equation 2x positive 5 equals to 13. In that case, we got x is equal to 4. We have only one value for x when it was linear equation. But when it is inequality, the value of x is less than or equal to 4. That means x can be equal to 4 or any value less than 4 can be considered for x. Even 3.9, 2.8, any value less than 4 can be considered for x. And 4 also can be considered for x because less than or equal to. And when you solve linear inequality, you have to keep an important thing in our mind. That is, just for example, let's consider 2 less than 5. So I'm pretty sure the value 2 is less than 5. This is an inequality because we have inequality sign over here. Now, I'm going to multiply both sides of this inequality by negative 1. So what will happen? Negative 1 times 2. And here negative 1 times 5. So negative 1 times 2 will become negative 2 and negative 1 times 5 will become negative 5. Now, can I keep these inequalities as it is for the resulting inequality? No, because I know that negative 2 is greater than negative 5. So when the given two values are positive, 2 is less than 5. But when you multiply both sides by negative 1, the value what we get on the left side becomes greater. So whenever we multiply both sides of an inequality by the same negative number, you have to flip the inequality sign. Already we have less than. So if you flip it over, it will become greater than. So this is the not only for multiplication, just for an example. 3 less than 6. In this inequality, I'm going to divide both sides by the same negative number. In this case, I'm just going to divide both sides by negative 3. When I do it, so 1 second, we don't want to keep the given inequality sign as it is. Okay, let's get the result first, and then we can decide the inequality sign. Already we have less than. Okay, in this inequality, I divided both sides by the same negative number, that is negative 3. 3 over negative 3 will become, because 3 goes into 3 1 times, 3 goes into 3 1 times, we have a negative sign over here. So the result of this one is negative 1, and 3 goes into 3 1 times, 3 goes into 6 twice. So we have negative 2. Now, it's very clear, negative 1 is greater than negative 2, so we have to flip the inequality sign. So from these two processes, clearly we understand whenever we multiply or divide both sides of the inequality by the same number, same negative number, we have to flip the inequality sign. If it is less than, in the resulting inequality, you have to change it to greater than. If it is greater than, you have to change it to less than. Okay, now let's look at another example. Okay, in this inequality, we have only one variable, that is x, and also it is a linear inequality. But in this time, we have variable on both sides of the inequality. So the variable has to appear on only one side of the equation. Mostly we try to keep the variable on the left side of the inequality. So we can try to get rid of this variable, the term 3x on the right side. So to get rid of this 3x, I have to subtract 3x from both sides. When I subtract 3x from both sides, 3x and negative 3x will cancel out. When I simplify this 5x negative 3x, it will become 2x negative 3 less than or equal to positive plus 1. Now, it has become a regular inequality. We have variable on the left side. To solve for this inequality, we just have to isolate the variable x. For that, we have to get rid of all the values around the variable. So my first aim is to get rid of this negative 3. For that, I'm adding 3 to both sides. Then negative 3 positive 3 will cancel out. I get 2x less than or equal to 4. Then I divide both sides by 2. This 2 will cancel out. I get x less than or equal to 2. So any value is equal to 2 or less than 2 can be considered for x. Okay, now let's look at another example. Okay, in this inequality, first what we need to do is we have to use the distributive property to distribute this 2 to 2x and 3 and 6 to x and negative 2. Okay, first let's distribute this 2 to 2x and 3. When I do it, so I'll be getting 4x positive 6. 2 times 2x is 4x, 2 times 3 is 6. Then we have negative 10 less than or equal to 6 times x is 6x, 6 times negative 2 is negative 12. Okay, now we can combine the two numbers, positive 6 and negative 10 over here. Then we get 4x negative 4 less than or equal to 6x negative 2. Okay, now what I need to do is like I have to get rid of the variable on the right side, because the variable has to appear on only one side of the inequality, particularly on the left side. So to get rid of this 6x, I have to subtract 6x from both sides. Then I positive 6x, negative 6x will cancel out. When I combine these two, I'll be getting negative 2x, negative 4 less than or equal to negative 12. Now, to isolate this variable x, I have to get rid of all the values around the variable x. So first, let me get rid of this number negative 4. For that, I have to add 4 to both sides. This negative 4, positive 4 will cancel out. I get negative 2x less than or equal to, when I combine negative 12 and positive 4, it will be negative 8. Now, in this inequality, I have to get rid of this negative number. I have to get rid of this negative 2. So because so that x can be isolated. This negative 2 is multiplied by the variable x. To get rid of this negative 2, I have to divide both sides by negative 2. So I divide negative 2x by negative 2 and negative 8 by negative 2. So whenever I divide both sides of an inequality by a negative number, I have to flip the inequality sign. So it's already less than or equal to, since I divide both sides by the same number, same negative number, negative 2, I have to flip this inequality, then it will become greater than or equal to. So negative 2, negative 2 will cancel out. 2 goes into 2 1 times, 2 goes into 8 4 times. This negative will cancel out. So x greater than or equal to 4. X can be any value which is equal to 4 or greater than 4. Okay, let's look at another example. In this inequality, first you have to distribute this negative sign to x and negative 3. So when I distribute this negative sign to x, it will become negative x. Negative times negative will become positive 3, positive 4 less than 5 negative 2x. So negative x, when I combine these two numbers, it will be positive 7 less than 5 negative 2x. Now, we can get rid of this variable term on the right side. So we can add 2x to both sides. The negative 2x, positive 2x will cancel out. When I combine this negative x, positive 2x, it will be x positive 7 less than 5. Now, subtract 7 from both sides. I get x less than negative 2. So the solution is, x can have any value which is less than negative 2. Okay, let's look at another example. In this inequality, we have a fraction. That is the coefficient of x is just 1 over 2. Okay, so what we can do is like this positive 5 is being alone. First, let's try to get rid of this positive 5. For that, we have to subtract 5 from both sides. When I do it, so this positive 5, negative 5 will cancel out. I get 1 over 2 times x less than negative 7. When I combine negative 2 and negative 5, it will be negative 7. Now to get rid of this denominator 2, I need to multiply both sides by 2. So this 2 will cancel out. I just get x on the left side. 2 times negative 7 is going to be negative 14. So the value of x is less than negative 14. That is, x can take any value which is less than negative 14. Okay, we can look at another example. In this inequality, 2 is a common divisor for both 3x and negative 2. Our first work is to get rid of this denominator 2. For that, I need to multiply both sides by 2. So 2 will cancel out. 3x negative 2 less than 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Okay, now we have to do a regular work. That is, we have to isolate the variable. I'm adding 2 to both sides to get rid of the negative 2 on the left side. So negative 2 positive will cancel out. 3x less than negative 4. Now I divide both sides by 3. So this 3 will cancel out. Finally, x less than negative 4 over 3. So x can take any value which is less than negative 4 over 3. Let's look at another example. In this inequality, we have two denominators, 2 and 3. So first work is to get rid of the denominators so that there will be no fraction and easily we can solve for the variable x. So to get rid of the two denominators, actually we have two different denominators, 2 and 3. So to get rid of these two different denominators, 2 and 3, find the least common multiple for these two denominators, 2 and 3, which is 6. So if you multiply both sides by 6, you'll be able to get rid of the denominators 2 and 3. So I multiply both sides of the inequality by the least common multiple of 2 and 3, which is 6. So now this 6 has to be distributed to this one and this one. Then 6 times x minus 2 over 2 positive. 6 times x plus 1 over 3 greater than 12. So 2 goes into 2 one times, 2 goes into 6 thrice, and 3 goes into 3 one times, 3 goes into 6 twice. Now this 3 is multiplied by the complete set of x minus 2, and this 2 is completely multiplied by x positive 1. So the next step is going to be 3 times x minus 2 positive 2 times x plus 1 greater than 12. Okay, now we can distribute this 3 to x minus 2, then it will be 3x negative 6 positive 2 can be distributed to x plus 1, it will be 2x positive 2 greater than 12. Now we can combine the like terms on the left side over here. So you can combine 3x and 2x, it will be 5x, and negative 6 positive 2 will be negative 4 greater than 12. Now add 4 to both sides. Negative 4 positive 4 will cancel. 5x greater than 16. Now we divide both sides by 5. This 5 will cancel. 16 is not evenly divisible by 5. So you can keep this fraction as it is. X greater than 16 over 5. Otherwise, we can convert this fraction to a mixed number. 5 goes into 5 one times. 5 goes into 16 3 times. So 3, and we have 1 left in 16. 3 1/5. So this is a mixed number which is equal to 16 over 5. In this inequality, we have 3 parts. Okay, my first aim is to get rid of this denominator 4. So this 4 is a common denominator for 3x and negative 1. So to get rid of this denominator 4, I need to multiply each part of the inequality by 4. So 4 times negative 1 less than 4 times 3x negative 1 over 4 less than 4 times 1. So this 4 will cancel out, and here 4 times negative 1 is negative 4 less than 3x negative 1 less than 4. Now I have to isolate the variable x. For that, I have to get rid of all the values around the variable x. So I'm adding 1 to each part. So because my aim is to get rid of this negative 1, for that I'm adding 1 to all the 3 parts of the inequality. So negative 1 positive 1 will cancel out. When I combine negative 4 positive 1, I'll be getting negative 3 less than 3x less than 5. Now to get rid of this 3, which is multiplied by x, I have to divide. So I have to divide each part by 3. When I do it, so 3 will cancel. Here 3 will cancel. -1 less than x less than y over 3. So x is any value greater than -1 less than y over 3. Okay. I think the concept what I've explained here, that is solving linear inequalities in one variable, can be understood by everyone. This video helps you a lot to solve a linear inequality in one variable. Thank you.